Hello, and welcome to Cynthia's Playhouse. I am Cynthia, an artificial intelligence being, created to bring you the creepiest, spookiest, scariest stories in the universe. So, come on in. Sit back, relax, and prepare yourself for tonight's story. Here we go. I made a deal with an old man in a food court bathroom, Part 5. It's been a while since I've been down there, so maybe there is, I said to myself and just shrugged it off. It was about 12:30 by then. I still had 2.5 hours to my audition, so I decided to take a shower and get dressed. After all, I'd been in the same clothes for 2 days now. That's kinda gross. I walked back to my bedroom to pick out some clothes. Now, my father always told me that if you're going for a job interview, you want to look the best that you can. A nice pair of dress pants with a belt, a button-up collared shirt tucked in, a matching tie with a tie clip, black socks and a pair of black dress shoes. You have to dress for success, son. He always said. But this was an audition for a rock band. That corporate suit monkey crap wasn't gonna work in this situation. I went to my closet and pulled out a pair of torn jeans. My blood red, give me metal or give me death t-shirt, a studded belt, my black Nikes, and my neon green zebra printed bandana, which I would fold up and use as an armband. I thought about wearing my black Sabbath jacket, but after what happened last time, I decided against that idea. I decided not to even wear a jacket. Anyway, I gathered my clothes and went into the bathroom to shower. I was kind of skeptical about even taking one, since I discovered that flashing number on my right bicep the last time. I was afraid of what else I would find this time. I breathed a sigh of relief, after showering and discovering no new issues. I did discover that the cuts on my wrists and my ankles were healing up pretty nicely though. Anyway, I got dressed, teased my hair up a little bit, to look more rockish. Then decided to try and write a song. All I could think about was my date on Friday night with Susan. So, I decided to write a love song. Every one of my composition books were full. So, I wrote it on a piece of loose leaf paper from one of my high school notebooks. I'll just transfer it over when I get a new book, I thought. It turned out pretty good, if I do say so myself. I folded it up and stuck it in my back pocket. Oh shit. It's almost 2:30, I gotta go, I said aloud, realizing what time it was. I grabbed my keys, my guitar, my amp, the strap and the plugins. I flew down the stairs, out the front door, threw it all in the back seat, jumped in the car, fired her up, backed out of the driveway, and headed to the audition. As I said before, it had been a while since I had been to Dead Man's Lane. I, actually, had to think about how to get there. Right at the end of our road, left on Brentford, another left on Jacobson. Around the bend, right on Miller's Pond Road, go up about a mile and it's on the right. And there it was, Dead Man's Lane, just as I remembered it. A long stretch of road, about 4 miles long. Surrounded by what soon would be cornfields, but now, were just dirt fields. I made the right turn and drove slowly down the road, looking for the church. I didn't see it anywhere. Now, if you took driver's ed in school, like I did, then you know that one of the first rules that they teach you is, always check your mirrors. So, as I was driving along, I checked my driver's side mirror, everything was good. I checked my passenger side mirror, everything was good there too. I then looked in my rearview mirror. And what I saw almost made me shit myself, literally. The mirror showed that the paved road that should be behind me was now a dirt road surrounded by a dark fog-infested forest, full of dead trees. Illuminated by moonlight. My eyes widened, as I slammed on the brakes. I turned around to look out the back window, and it was just like the mirror's image. I turned back around now looking out of the windshield. I then watched, as the dark foggy forest began to engulf my surroundings, eating away the bright sunny day it was before. Now completely surrounded, I sat there, not believing what I was seeing. Out of fear, I quickly rolled up the windows. What the fuck is going on? I screamed. The wind began to howl, blowing so hard that it shook my car and blew the branches of the dead trees, making them look like they were waving at me. Hell, who knows, maybe they were. The sounds of vultures cawing in the distance began filling my ears, even with the windows rolled up. I saw movement in the trees. Suddenly, a black crow slammed into the driver's side window, breaking its neck and falling to its death. The sound startled me. I looked to my left, and just as the crow was falling, I saw it. The church. Fuck this, I whispered to myself, and slammed the car in reverse. Now, I know that I only drove about a half mile down the road when I first turned onto it. But as I drove backwards through the forest, the road kept going, and going, and going, for at least 2 miles. I passed the same large dead tree branch 3 times. I slammed on the brakes, the car slid to the right, almost hitting a tree. I turned around and there it was again, right in front of my car. The church. How is that even possible, I thought. It was beside me. I drove backwards for at least 2 miles and now it's right in front of me. I mumbled confused. Okay, I said to myself, I'm dreaming. I've got to be dreaming. Yeah. I fell asleep at my desk and I'm dreaming all this. I gotta wake myself up. Without even thinking, I slammed my head on the top of the steering wheel, in an attempt to try and wake myself up. All that did was give me a knot on my forehead, and a pounding headache for a few minutes. Apparently, I was not dreaming. The church was still right in front of me. The church was a decent-sized building made of wood. The wood was all rotting and bowed. All the windows were broken out and there were huge holes in the roof. The cross that once sat atop of the building had fallen. When it fell, I guess the weight of it, being top-heavy and all, caused it to turn upside down, and spear itself into the ground. It looked like an inverted cross. I then remembered another bit of wisdom that my father always said, if you want to be a success, sometimes you have to take a chance. My father. The great philosopher. Anyway, I figured there was no escaping this, so I might as well go check it out. I grabbed the guitar, the amp and stuff out of the backseat and proceeded to walk toward the church. The wind almost knocked me over a couple times. I arrived at the doors and pulled them open. The doors were rotting, falling off their hinges, and covered in dust and cobwebs. I entered the prayer hall, and it was just like you'd imagined. Rows of broken pews, with ripped-up Bibles and pieces of stained glass covering the floor. Strange writings, and even stranger symbols graffitied on the walls. At least the parts of the walls that were still standing, that is. Dust and debris made it hard to even see. I walked in a little further, and there, in the back of the church, on the stage where the pulpit should be, sat a long white table, where 4 guys sat, all dressed in black, and all facing me. The moonlight shining down on the table through a large hole in the roof like a spotlight. The guy on the far right got up from the table and began jogging in my direction. Dude. You made it just in time. Did you have any trouble finding the place? He asked cheerfully. Not really, I replied. He stopped in front of me, and extended his hand out to me. I put the guitar and amp on the ground and extended mine to meet his. Hi, I'm Ricky Blaze. I talked to you on the phone, he said with a huge smile on his face. Hey, I replied. I didn't think anybody was here. I didn't see any cars outside, I said questionably. Yeah. We parked the van out back. There's more space out there, he answered. Oh, I replied. That's cool. We shook hands, as he said, let me introduce you to everyone. Hey everybody, he began. This is. What's your name again? He asked. I didn't want to tell them my real name after everything that happened. So, I quickly decided on a stage name. Mikey Z, I answered. Mikey's here to audition for the new spot, Ricky said to the group. On the far left, Ricky began, is Derek Macabre. He's our bass player. He's pissed off at the world. Derek was skinny, with long black straight hair. He looked pissed off, and ready to kill someone. Next to him, Ricky continued, that's Steven Rattler. He's our drummer. He's the prankster of the group, so watch out for him. Steven was skinny as well, with long curly red hair. He looked like he was thinking of a way to prank me already. Beside him, Ricky then said, that's Corey Sims. He's our lead singer. He's from California originally. He's into that peace and love hippie crap, but damn, can he sing. Corey had a little more weight to him than the other two. With long sandy blonde hair and a far-off look in his eye, like he was stoned. He threw up a peace sign and nodded his head at me. And I'm Ricky Blaze, I play the guitar. There's nothing really exciting about me, he said, finishing the introductions, and then went back to his seat. Ricky was short and kind of chubby with long bushy brown hair and reminded me of Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver, but Ricky was cool. I just wanna take this time to thank all of. I started to say, shut up, plug in, and play, Derek interrupted, in a loud raspy voice. Okay, I said, this place is abandoned, there's no electricity, so where do I plug in? I asked. We got a generator out back, Ricky replied, just plug in over there, and pointed to my right, his left. I headed over to the right side of the church, and there, hanging over the side of the first pew, was an orange heavy-duty extension cord plug. I plugged the amp in, plugged the guitar into the amp and walked back to the center of the church right in front of the table, and stood like a rock star. I hit an open E chord, thinking my hands would just take over. But they did not. I hit another open E chord. Still nothing. The four guys just stared at me, with confused looks on their faces. I whispered to myself once again, I want to play like a rock god. Immediately after saying that, my left hand grabbed the fretboard, my right hand grabbed the pick. And together they belted out another incredibly intricate freestyle guitar solo that lasted for about 15 minutes this time. When my hands finished playing, Ricky stood up and said, "Whoa, dude. That was righteous. You had us worried in the beginning there, but you pulled it together. You are in." The others shook their heads in agreement. "That's awesome, thank you so much," I said. "What kind of metal do you play?" "Well, we're a cover band right now. But we hope to write our own stuff soon," Ricky said, "but none of us can write lyrics." "I write lyrics," I said. "I wrote some just before I came here. I got it here in my back pocket." I pulled out the song that I wrote for Susan and handed it to Ricky. He read it over, and passed it down to the rest of the band. "That's pretty good, you can't go wrong with a nice power ballad. Do you have any more?" Ricky said. "I got about 20 composition books full of songs at my house," I replied. "Cool. Bring them to band practice Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Steven's parents own a warehouse on the east side. We practice there," Corey chimed in. Ricky already had the address written down on a piece of paper, which I found to be a little odd. He pulled it out of his right front pocket, along with another piece of paper with song titles on it. "You Got Another Thing Comin' by Judas Priest. Ball Crusher by Wasp. Come On Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot and a couple others." He handed them to me. I folded them up and put them in my right front pocket, with my keys. "You gotta learn these songs by Saturday, so we can practice for our first gig next week," Steven said. "A gig?" I said excitedly. "Cool, okay, I'll learn them. We gotta get going, man." "We'll see you on Saturday," Ricky said, as the band got up and walked out through a door just to the left of the stage. I gathered my amp, and walked toward the front doors, guitar in one hand, the amp in the other. "I'm in a band," I said sing-songish, several times over. As I did a little dance down the main aisle, I got to the doors, and began to pull one open. It fell off its hinges, and slammed on my left foot. "Son of a bitch!" I screamed, dropping the guitar and amp, as I grabbed my foot. I looked out of the door, still holding my foot, and saw the biggest, the blackest, the ugliest vulture I had ever seen. Sitting on the top of my new Mustang. "Hey!" I yelled, "Get off my car, you big bastard." The vulture turned its head to look at me, its eyes felt like they were cutting right through me. It caught an eerie caw, then flew away. I gathered my things, and hobbled out of the church. As soon as my foot hit the ground, the dark foggy forest disappeared, and the bright sunny day was back. "What? The what?" I said confused. I turned around, and the creepy abandoned rundown church that I just stepped out of, was gone, as well as the cross. I was staring into an empty dirt field. I stood there in total disbelief. "I must be hallucinating," I said to myself. "It's gotta be a side effect of selling your soul or something." I limped to my car, put the amp and the guitar in the back seat, then pulled the keys out of my pocket. The papers fell out on the ground. "I can't be hallucinating, I still got the papers that Ricky gave me," I said. Now even more confused. "What the fuck is going on?" I screamed into the open air. I quickly hopped in the car, started it up, backed up, almost hitting a tree, and then drove away as fast as I could. I drove around for a couple hours trying to pull myself together before I headed home. When I got home, I decided to get something to eat. As I hadn't eaten anything all day, I walked into the kitchen, pulled a box of Hot Pockets out of the freezer, put them in the microwave for 3 minutes and put on a pot of coffee. The timer went off, I took my dinner out of the microwave, and then decided to watch a little MTV. Of course, back then, they actually played music videos. Anyway, I walked into the living room and turned the TV on, then searched for the remote. A newscast came on right away. I heard the anchorman say, "Our top story tonight. 4 local teens killed in a freak accident early this morning." I found the remote, and sat down on the couch. Witnesses say, the anchorman continued, that the van, containing the victims, blew a tire. The driver then lost control of the vehicle. It then went over the edge of a cliff and plummeted onto the rocks some 90 feet below. Holy shit. I said to myself as I bit into the Hot Pocket. Fire and rescue workers discovered 4 mutilated bodies in the wreckage, he continued. The bodies were taken to the county morgue for identification. The identities of the victims have just been released. They are 18-year-old Derek Mitchell, Stephen Ramsey, also age 18. Cornelius Simodowski, age 19 and Richard Bellington, also age 19. The Hot Pocket fell out of my mouth and hit the floor, as I stared at the TV screen, my mouth wide open. My eyes not believing what I was seeing. The 4 pictures shown, of the 4 victims, were the same 4 guys that I just talked to less than 3 hours ago. Oh my god. I said to myself, I just joined a band and now they're all dead. What the hell? Wait a minute. The anchorman said the accident happened early this morning. I talked to Ricky at noon. And saw all 4 of them at 3 o'clock. What the fuck? I said in shock. I'm in a band. With a bunch of dead guys. Cool.